We're the voices of experiencers, and we are the experiences with extraterrestrials.
And we know that people are implanted. Some people say, well, they can go by your vibration as well. I know I've had visits, and I have, when I was out of state or what have you, and I'm saying, well, I wonder how they know where I am. But they do.
It's time for disclosure. It's time for truth, because truth brings powerful transformations.
Now, this sort of feeling of authority, like a father figure or whatever, I wonder if it's an authentic relationship they have, or if it is a method that the beings have learned to be able to control somebody.
We're the voices of change and profound evolution.
But, there's a connection there. We kind of choose that. And I mean, we're all connected for sure, but I felt like maybe they had a past connection, and they were recognizing that and enjoying that and feeling that love that they've had for one another, and maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 lifetimes, who knows.
We're the bridge between two different worlds. Profound integration is coming.
That's a lot of information. A lot of information. Yeah, and I, you know me, I'm just connecting with him being a little boy and then holding his wrist and what that must have felt like for him to revisit that. I would think kind of traumatic.
Just who are extraterrestrials? Let's find out with the voices of contact.
I hear the word implant, like we're putting something in.
What's the implant for?
We want to know where you are.
What's the implant for?
We want to know where you are.
We are the voices of experiencers, because we are the experiencers. It's time for disclosure, and it's time for truth, because with the truth comes powerful transformation, and we are the voices of change. We are about evolution on a profound level, living life without fear and becoming the bridge between two different realities. Profound evolution is here. Profound integration is here. Just who are extraterrestrials? This is the voices of contact. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary. I'm a channeler and psychic medium, and I'm a hypnosis regression for ET experiencers, and I work with MUFON doing regression work. I also work with PTSD experiencers as well as experiencers of victim to help them recall what might have happened. So I'm looking forward to another amazing show tonight with our panel of experiencers. I just want to thank you guys for doing the show with me and being on the show, because I don't think you realize what an impact you have on people's life, whether it was a small contact experience, a dream they might be recalling, or they're a frequent flyer. The information you provide to them is life-changing. So I want to introduce the panel for tonight. First, we have Michael Carter, and he is a longtime UFO contactee, an author of Alien Scriptures, Extraterrestrials, and the Holy Bible. And he's also a regular consultant on this show, Ancient Aliens, as well as being featured in several UFO documentaries. The next we have is Bill Konkoleski, and he has been the state director of the Michigan MUFON since 2004. It's a long time. Besides also writing 2 books on his own personal experiences, he's contributed to numerous other UFO-related books as well as TV productions. And last but not least, we have Deb and RJ DeRoos, and they are authors, paranormal UFO researchers, and they're experiencers themselves. And they're also founders of the Michigan UFO Contact. They're also owners and managers of Mystical Awakenings Radio and the metaphysical store Mystical Awakenings in Houghton Lake, Michigan. Hi, everyone. It's great to have you here.
Good to be
Hi,
here.
Mary.
Happy to be here.
How are you guys tonight?
Great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're excited.
So am I. This is a really great show. So I'll give you a little bit about what the show is all about. And I've worked with a lot of different experiencers through regression work to help them find a better understanding of the contact they've had with ET. It's so my clients are also to go ahead and use the regressions on this show with the panelists as they weigh in with their experiences. I love this because not only does it help them learn about their experiences, but it gives us a better understanding of what actually is going on out there. So a little bit background on tonight's show. As a young boy, he recognized that he had scars on his wrist. And the memory that he had from those scars were that he had, the way he had described it was reaching his hand into like an empty vegetable can and then cutting his wrists on the edges of that, except for it always confused him with the shapes of the scars because it wasn't round. They were just straight. And so when he asked his mom about those scars, she doesn't remember it. And so he really wanted to regress on what might have happened and how he got those scars. So that's where it takes place. So I will start the first clip and then we'll go from there, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
We're going to go back to the time when you were young and you received the scars on your wrists. Tell me what's happening.
I don't feel like a hand is holding my hands, like my arms.
Look at those hands. Describe them for me.
Kind of thin, but bigger than I'm small, so bigger than, still big to me, but holding my little wrists, or my hands, thin, like pointy, almost pointy fingers.
Do you know how many fingers they have?
It looks like a normal 5 fingers, but I can't tell because it's holding my hand.
What color is the hand?
It looks white. I feel almost like I might be lying on a table like I am now, sort of.
What are they doing with your wrists?
I can't tell. Can't see.
Try to look past the hands, past your wrist, and try to look around the room. What do you see around you?
I'm kind of looking up the arm. I'm looking at my right arm. I almost see like a thin arm and a blue, like indigo kind of tunic or sleeve, or trying to look. It seems to be a being with big oval eyes, like not like pointed, like bigger at the edges and then coming to a point, but like a regular eye, like, but big compared to the head, looking at me.
Can you ask him what he's doing with your wrists?
We're fixing you. He's like, hold still.
What are they doing now if they want you to hold still?
What are you doing? I feel like there's someone to my side that's like they're gonna cut me where those scars are. I hear the word implant, like we're putting something in.
What's the implant for?
We want to know where you are.
That's a lot of information. What do you guys think?
That's a lot of information. A lot of information. Um, yeah, and you know me. I'm just connecting with him being a little boy and them holding his wrist and what that must have felt like for him to revisit that. I don't, especially if you don't have that memory, you have a clear memory of something else happening to cause those scars, and then you are regressed and you're seeing this happening. That would be, I would think, kind of traumatic. But apparently, the cuts. Now, were there two? Did he say there were two cuts on his wrist?
The way it sounded to me was that there is two, because he talks about the scars.
Okay. So I'm wondering, were there two different implants put in there? I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like. And I don't know if that's a common thing or what, but I'm going to give my opinion on when you asked, and what are the implants for? I heard a not human voice, and it sounded to me like, don't worry. And I only say that because, we've done paranormal investigation for years and years, and, I'm used to listening to EVPs and trying to pick things out. But that's my opinion. And I think the don't worry would fit because he's asking something, where you're asking, and he's telling the boy to not worry. So that's all I've got on that right now.
Do we know if he still has the scars as an adult?
When I spoke with him, yes, because I remember him talking about touching his, I believe, his right wrist and wanting to know how he had gotten these scars.
So in a paranormal investigation, when that happens, when that voice comes in or whatever that was that came in, we call that an EVP, electronic voice phenomena. So I was talking, if that's the case, then while you were doing the regression, the voice came in, and that means that, were they listening? If that is truly a voice, electronic voice, did they come in at that time? And how is that? Are the implants, I'm speculating, of course, but are the implants able to pick up voices so somebody else can hear? And were they actually listening to you, Mary, and your subject, and saying, "Oh, don't worry, it's okay." They're actually monitoring that conversation, which is interesting.
Yeah, and we did talk a little bit about that before the show. I know Mary and I did, anyways. That it seems like recently, it's possibly they're becoming aware that this is being done. I think they might have implanted that in you, Mary, the download to do this type of a show. And they're more present with your clients with regressions now. We had, well, I guess I can say his name because he said his name, Michael John, last week, who said they were with him right then. So.
It reminds me of, obviously there's stuff in the literature about, being regressed and trying to retrieve certain information. And sometimes another voice will come through and say it's blocked or you don't need to know that. I know Dolores Cannon has talked about that, if I'm not mistaken, but may have had a couple scenarios like that. So in that way, it sounds in a typical kind of experiencer experience. The and we know that people are implanted. Some people say, well, they can go by your vibration as well. I know I've had visits, and I have, when I was out of state or what have you, and I'm saying, well, I wonder how they know where I am, but they do. So it seems there are no surprises there, at least from my perspective, with those kind of things. Those are kind of like the givens that can happen.
I do know when
I will say this real quick, though. I'm sorry, Mary. I do think that they probably do listen. If they can use the person's vehicle, this body, to say, don't worry, or what have you, then I'm sure they can tune in to whatever it is you're asking, if they choose to.
I do know when I'm doing regression work, whether it's with an experiencer or somebody else who just wants a regression, when you tap into the subconscious, their voice will change. And that's how you know you have them under a deep enough trance, because their voice does change. So I'll play. What I did is I took the clip and I made it a little bit louder, so maybe the audience can hear it a little bit better, just in case they didn't. It does kind of static when it gets to that part after I ask him a question. So I'll play that real quick, and then we can just move on to the next clip after that, okay?
Okay.
What's the implant for?
We want to know where you are.
So that's it, just a little bit louder. And who knows what it really is. I guess I do know that I shared it with him because I wanted to make sure I had permission from him before I actually shared that whole thing. And he listened, which was great, because it actually made him listen to the rest of his regression, because most people will not listen back to the regressions. Sometimes maybe a year later, but typically they're not going to. So this has him actually listening back and, having triggers and getting more information. But he actually found one more spot that's about a couple of minutes later down the line where it sounds like there's some kind of answer. I didn't have time to get anything on that, but just a little background on that.
Well, nice. Okay.
Very interesting.
All right. So this next clip, Bill, did you have a chance to say anything? We got to talking, so I didn't know if you had to say
about the car. I did ask about that. I'm fine.
Okay. So this next one, he's still in the room and he's on the table and he can feel other beings that are coming in the room with him. So that's where this one starts off.
I feel like there's another being. I don't see him in the room.
Do you want to ask them to come closer?
Am I right? Yeah.
Okay, have them come closer and then describe them to me.
Hard to see. They're like looming right over me, like they look bigger. I just can't see their face. I just feel a presence.
Do they feel male or female?
Kind of male energy.
Do they feel older or younger?
Like ageless, old, but not old looking. I see blue again, like a blue tunic. I think it could be what you might call a father type being. I don't know what that means.
Does it feel like father type to you?
A little bit, yeah. Like strong energy. intellectual energy, very balanced, and not feeling a lot of emotion, but connection. And that's kind of weird, but
So you feel connected, but not like an emotional connection?
it's like a connection, but I don't feel like I'm not feeling like a love vibe or anything. It's weird.
Is there anything else that you notice?
Sort of seeing the neck. There's like a V neck top. Trying to see the face. It's kind of, maybe not so human.
So who's going to go first on this one?
I really thought Bill would.
If sure. Thanks. Now, this sort of feeling of authority, like a father figure or whatever, I wonder if it's an authentic relationship they have, or if it is a method that the beings have learned to be able to control somebody. They found that like a parental figure is what people respond best to in terms of authority. If if they tried out boss and that one didn't work, or police officer or whatever, some sort of authority like that. But the sort of father figure, because he made very clear that it wasn't necessarily a loving vibe, but still he used that sort of father figure terminology. So is there some sort of relationship that they have where they did either somehow some form of this actually being a father, or if there is some sort of mentoring here that's implied that he doesn't get into here, or if it's just a way for them to, just for the beings to sort of have you imprint on them, and listen to them. I know we didn't really get much back story for this to be able to make that decision, but it does make me wonder, what exactly is he feeling towards this being?
So
Yeah.
when he did the regression, was there a particular time in his life? Was he a young boy when this happened? Okay, so that would, yeah, I can see, Bill, where an authority figure would have, definitely more of an effect on him because he's used to that as a kid,
I think it's also interesting that, because from a human standpoint, and I think sometimes we can make the mistake of feeling that the star people we're thinking like we think. And obviously there are differences. And maybe the connection is more important than the love vibe. I mean, we have connections with other human beings. We don't necessarily love them or feel that, but there's the connection. So it wasn't warm and fuzzy, but it wasn't, at least from what he's talking about, it didn't seem threatening either. And so he's in the presence of an elder, literally. And that's how he's trying to describe it. He didn't say grandfatherly or whatever, he said fatherly. But I think the connection is more important than if it was warm and fuzzy or not.
Yeah.
But as human beings, we want it warm and fuzzy.
Yeah,
Right.
it was intriguing. Yeah.
Right. But that would definitely help him to feel calmer with a father figure presence. He did say he was ageless. He didn't look old, but he knew
That's
he
why I was
was.
saying this kind of elder,
Mhm.
this wise,
Right.
kind of energy. Because, there are reports where they can calm you if they wanted to. I wish they had tried that with me. I wasn't well convinced, but that they can calm you,
Right.
with telepathically or however they do it.
Mhm.
I love the description without kind of reading an overlay into it. It was, like you said, it wasn't love, but it was a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
That's
that.
about
And-
as authentic as you can get.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. And, you know, I think that it's better if we do feel a connection with them because we are connected. In my opinion, again, it's, you know, I can only state my own opinion, but I feel we do have a strong connection with all other beings. So it's a healthier way to go about this if we feel connected. But it kind of took me back to a few weeks with Bill's regression, with him feeling their presence. He knew they were there. It was so familiar to him. He knew before he could see anything. And this fellow could too, before, you know, you had to have him bring them in closer so he could see. But the energy, he knew they were with him. So it wasn't his first time. You know, and again, in my opinion, not his first time. And it was also interesting that I know Bill has had the color blue pop up for him as well. So that was interesting. But I liked the comfort in his voice. You know, it was a little different than the first clip with trying to figure out the scars and finding those scars. He sounded a little more distraught with, you know, what is this? This is the first time he's seeing that, seeing the hands around his wrist. So being the father figure or whatever he was projecting to your client definitely helped, or seemed to.
Now, in the first part of it, he was talking about, he was looking at their hands and their arm. I think was he talking about that their skin was blue too? The hands were blue?
I think he was more talking about perhaps clothing that was on, because I think he said blue tunic.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, it was a tunic.
Okay. I thought in the very beginning he was looking at their hands and then he moved his eyes up the arm, but okay, I just wanted to get that clear if there was also blue skin or just blue clothing.
No. Yeah, I just remembered in Bill's regression that he had said, or maybe it wasn't your regression, maybe you were talking of an experience, Bill, when you talked about they told you could see, if you were good, you could see the blue.
That was very much mine. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. And the blue was calming for you.
Yes, very much. And it just happened to be the very same blue of a UFO that I saw back in '89. And the color struck me as so beautiful that I actually had difficulty looking at the color orange for several hours.
Wow.
Like the opposite on the color wheel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's really interesting. Okay. So maybe blue is a common color for some of them to use to calm us, even if it's a tunic.
It's a higher vibrational color, fifth chakra, possibly fifth dimension, fifth density.
All right. So for this next clip coming up, we kind of tapped into more of his connection because he was talking about the father type thing. So it kind of went towards the direction of what was his connection to the beings that were on this craft.
Eyes that are kind of almost buggy, beautiful, like a like a bug eye, super faceted. I don't see any. So far, I don't see anything like a pupil yet. It's just like, but maybe that's there.
They're just all dark.
No, it's like a bug carapace wing, like shiny and faceted. Hello.
Is there anything that you would like to ask them before we leave?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, who are you? Ah, family.
Is he your father?
One of many?
You are one of many?
One of many fathers? If that makes sense? Many. Family? I feel some more, as I see the face, there's some emotion. I'm not afraid. It is kind of a more loving.
If he's your father, do you have a mother?
Yeah.
Where is she at?
I don't know if she's there or if I'm just seeing her. Like a manted, but white. Like loving, very loving. Just an image.
What role does she play for you?
I don't know, teacher, overseer.
Wow. Family. Very interesting. Very interesting.
What I was curious about is what he means by one of many.
Well, I believe our soul progresses, and we our soul energy goes into different situations, bodies, whatever. This lifetime I had the father and mother I had. Last lifetime, wherever it was, I had somebody else. But there's a connection there. We choose that, and I mean we're all connected for sure. But I felt like maybe they had a past connection, and they were recognizing that and enjoying that and feeling that love that they've had for one another, and maybe one or two or three or four lifetimes. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But I think we do have other, siblings, other in the physical world, other mothers and fathers, and in different locations and different lifetimes and different planets.
Yeah. Yeah. And at first I took that to be that species. Like they were all, like he had many fathers in that species, but I also felt like he had, earth parents as well. And that would kind of tie in with that. I have to admit, I was a little surprised when you asked about his mother, and he basically described a light being that, I thought he would say somebody on earth, but yeah, I mean, how intriguing and how beautiful to see. Last week's episode was a little tougher, and this one is really quite beautiful. Finding that connection.
Yeah, if it's not a traditional biological father, and it's almost hard to imagine that's the case. So a couple directions I think it could mean to be interpreted. One is one of many mentors. Perhaps they equate the term father with some sort of mentor, or it's some way of them conveying that many people were involved with where he's at now, and the term is just the closest approximation to what would make sense to him as a boy, the experiencer. But yeah, the least likely reality is that it's a traditional father, so everything's open to interpretation. Then in that case, did many people create him, and therefore many people are his father, or are these just mentors to him?
Yeah, that resonates with me as well. I mean, because it's easy to go for the literal, that this is my
Mhm.
father, and maybe at another time, but again, I think it's more of, for me listening, it's more of the connection than it is that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, whether he's the father or the mother or another lifetime, that's well and good. As you say, this is a child, but I think it's just good to establish that connection, that familiarity for them as well as him.
Okay, so in this last clip, this is where he talks about how often he comes and connects with his ET mom.
How often do you see her?
I don't know.
When do you see her?
Maybe like showing, like maybe in dreams, like connect, teaching.
She comes to you in your dreams and teaches you?
That's kind of what I'm sort of seeing. Or
What does she teach you?
what do you teach me about that home and universe, bigger picture? Give me the knowledge to cope with what I have to do and face.
What do you have to face?
Saying like you're a warrior, the light, to help transform this earth, to help bring it back. So sort of feeling that, the role of like that's one of the things to face. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I mean, I believe, I do believe that a lot of us are kind of volunteer to come here, and as we're here, we get guidance to try to raise these vibrations on this planet. Because I think the higher extraterrestrials, that's the plan, and that's the easiest way to do it without interfering. It's just work with individuals, try to get them to raise their vibrations so they can raise other vibrations. And so that makes sense for me. Kind of what I felt that they've been telling me to do. So that makes sense.
Well, it's, you hear this narrative enough from independent people that aren't aware of what other experiences are going through, that it takes on a validity based upon just the volume of times that you hear this. Though, how to put this, it's so rare for an individual to take that message so much to heart that they drop everything and try to be a bodhisattva. And you hear a lot of people who live their lives, are good people, do good things, honest, hardworking, loving. But it almost sounds like the general gist of the beings when they try to nudge people in this direction is to really activate them more. And there's certainly no shortcoming in somebody living a good, loving life. But is this the closest literal expression that we have to what they want from us, or are they just all like, trying to push us into the priesthood, and and what they get is just a bunch of good-hearted people. um I don't know. I guess that's my thought when I hear this narrative come up again.
Yeah, it does come up a lot. And I believe it. I believe that that's part of what I'm here to do. Not in a grandiose way,
Right.
just trying to be an authentic person and, give what I have. Not in, I'm not trying to be Dr. King or Jesus or whoever. However, having said that, working with Ray Hernandez on his book Beyond UFOs, and he's talked to people from different cultures and who've had experiences in different countries, and I highly commend the book. That's what's happening. That is what's happening. Does it sound cliche? Sure, it does at this point. But when you have people who were just Newtonian physics and living a very material life, working on Wall Street, and they have a near death experience or an OBE or an extraterrestrial experience, they chuck it all and doing being a massage therapist somewhere in a little town where they came from or something like that. There's so much data and numbers that um, validate this. Now that and it can be both. And I'm not cynical enough to say, well, that's what they just tell you. Just shut up and you're a warrior. You're going to change stuff. Just be quiet and let us finish what we're doing. I'm not saying that. I'm sure some people do. But what I am saying is that that seems to be the narrative, and we could dissect it, that get people to change. That you are significant, and it could be bullshit in the sense of we're telling you, but when people come away from this is what they say. I was told this, and I have a purpose, and it's not just all paying my bills and all this stuff, and I can make a difference. And whatever it is, it's a pretty powerful message.
Yeah, all of us here, Mary and Deb, myself, and you, Bill, and Michael, we're in a position where people come to us and want to talk, and we share information, and we try to share positive information, and we try to help people as long and help ourselves at the same time. So we're definitely in that position because that's where we are right now, and we can't deny that. And I'm just saying the information they've given me, you stay the course, you're doing fine. I'm not looking for a grander, stage. I'm just doing what I can as people come into our store and we come across people and people want to talk. And Bill, you've got all kinds of people coming to you about their experiences. Michael, you're the same. I mean, you every week you're talking to people about messages. Mary, you got people coming to you wanting to be regressed. So all that together, and we're just 5 people here. You think on a grand scale, if a lot of people are doing that, then that's where the grand scale comes in. Where all different kinds of people are doing their small part, which is we are all part of a puzzle, a piece of a puzzle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a lot of what I was going to say. I don't see this really as, they do push to do the work, live in the light, those types of things. I don't feel that it's really a push to priesthood as much as it is to do exactly what we are doing right here. It's not always easy. And being a warrior isn't about always being loving and kind and working hard and doing your dishes and, you know, all those things. It's sometimes putting yourself in uncomfortable positions and standing up for truth and honesty and what's best for the whole, instead of what's best for my little corner. He said a few times, you know, about being a warrior, and that's where the uncomfortable part comes in. You know, some people take this as, oh, you're supposed to walk around and be sweet and loving and kind, and that's that. And, you know, there are times that all of us are not very sweet, loving, and kind. We try to be, but sometimes the work that we do puts us in a position of standing up for, you know,
Tough love.
what's right, tough love. You know, comments on social media that make us not quite so comfortable and have to say, no, 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 no. You know, that's not the way I see it, or that's not the way I meant it. I know when I first had my big experience, and I call it big experience because it was the one that made me aware of other experiences, in 2016, I was absolutely terrified and very uncomfortable with talking about it. And if it wasn't for this man right here, I would never have gone public with the information, because my experience was not the common, I see a flying saucer, I was abducted, you know, taken up to the sky. It wasn't like that. It was very different. And I just knew that people were going to go, she's full of it. So that put me in a really uncomfortable position. But that's the warrior that I think that he's talking about, is even though we're uncomfortable with some of this, it's important to get it out. It's important to bring experiencers to the surface. And as Michael says, you know, this is the year of the experiencers. Why? Because we want truth. And that's what we're all looking for.
Well, I'll say this because I know we've gone over, but I still hear what Bill, I think I hear what Bill is saying. I don't know if you ever watched, and I'll say it real quick because we're done. People of Earth. Did you ever see that on NBC? It's a great show. They took it off of 2 seasons, and it was these extraterrestrials. They were cursed. They would swear. It was a gray, it was a reptilian, and it was a blonde person. And to make a long story short, they were visiting these people, and these people were all in the same support group. Everyone said, when they talked about their experience, they all said, I was told I was special. I was told I was the warrior. One woman got taken twice, and she's laying on the table, and the gray is saying, and she says, "Don't tell me, I know, I'm special." And the gray goes, "Well, what? You got an attitude?" But my point being is that it can be that cliche, and I'm sure people. It's like when you want to, you know, when you're dating and you want to get laid, you use the same line over and over and over again, and you know, it's like, this is the line I use to get over. Crude example, but you get my point. So, you know, there may be a little bit of that in there. I don't think it is with us, but you know, you always got to be open, because it can be.
Right.
You know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just some people hear it all the time.
Is that what you're saying, Bill?
Well, yeah, along those lines.
Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it something nice they say, or do they really? Is their intent really to, you know, have this great spiritual army, and people just all of a sudden they turn on the TV and they're like, "What was that again that you said?"
All right. Yeah.
Well, gang, I'm going to go.
All right. Well, that's it for the show tonight. So thank you to the person that I regressed for allowing us to use this. And thank you to you guys once again for giving your opinions and giving the feedback. It's really appreciated.
Thank
Hope you guys
Mary.
have a good night.
It was a good show.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
all.
Good night.
When you're still a young child, and you ran into the basement, and you heard the being come down for you. And then he showed you a beautiful box with a holograph that had beautiful images in it. You were given that and you were memorized. What happened after that?
After he gave me the box,
Yeah.
well, I feel it just like changed from fear to joy to happy. It's like, wow. And I feel like a smiling face looking at me. I'm very little next to this being.
Is the being familiar to you?
It's kind of like I'm sort of seeing like it's like kind of like a buggy face too, but humanoid and not like exactly like a man, like or something like it, but more of a more triangular, smaller, pointed head with a mouth, not mandibles, but like a mouth and eyes, but not a human shaped head, more triangular, longer, leaner, in a suit. I'm almost seeing the hands, like I could see the hands on my back, and they're really long fingers, really long tapered fingers that are like, the skin's like a little bit rough, almost like scaly a little bit, but smiling, good energy, hand on my back, like, come along.
What happens next?
Okay. So, what happens next? We're walking.
Where do you walk to?
We're going up the steps.
Where do you go after you walk up the steps?
I feel like we just go to the top of the steps and then just kind of feel like we just kind of walk through the door. There's a door there at the top of the steps. So we just kind of just like there's like a golden light and we just kind of walk through it.
What's on the other side of the golden light?
Well, we're like in my backyard or my side of my house, and we're like moving to the ship, to the backyard, and I see the lights. But it's like it's a golden field around us, and so like there's the fence, but it seems like we just kind of pass through it.
What do you think the golden field is?
I like it's like so we don't have to like fool with opening gates and things like that or doors. We just go right through it. Yeah, kind of maned with these big eyes that are kind of almost buggy, beautiful, like a multi, like a bug eye, super faceted. I don't see any. So far, I don't see anything like a pupil yet. It's just like, but maybe that's there.
They're just all dark.
No, it's like like a bug carapace wing, like shiny and faceted. Hello.
Is there anything that you would like to ask them before we leave?
Yeah, who are you? Family.
Is he your father?
One of many.
You are one of many?
One of many fathers? If that makes sense. Many. Family. I feel some more, as I see the face, there's some emotion. I'm not afraid. It is kind of a more loving.
If he's your father, do you have a mother?
Yeah.
Where is she at?
I don't know if she's there or if I'm just seeing her. Like a manted, but white. Loving, very loving. Just an image.
What role does she play for you?
I don't know, teacher?